How many of you guys are out of your toxic relationship and you find yourself pulling back? Avoiding friends, avoiding the gym, numbing out, because it feels like no matter what you do, you can't catch up. How many of you guys are letting your physical health go to shit and isolating yourself from people who actually care about you? Running away from the pain using substances. How many of you guys just out of your toxic relationships feel like everybody else is moving forward? Your ex seems fine. Your buddies are dating again, right? Guys on social media look like they're thriving, and you're over here wondering why you are still stuck. How many of you guys are asking yourself, what's wrong with me? How many of you guys are second guessing every decision, every step forward? Maybe you've stopped eating well, or even chose not to get out of bed some days. If that's you, and if you can relate to these feelings or these thoughts, type here in the chat. Now, how many of you would rather wake up with a clear head instead of relying on these loops of the past playing in your head all day, every day? How many of you would rather walk into the gym with renewed energy and motivation for your training? Or have better focus and productivity at work? How many of you would rather feel confident making decisions so that you can actually spend more time with your kids, or try a new hobby, or reach your fitness goals? Type yes in the chat if you are ready for this kind of transformation, ready to stop falling behind and to start actually catching up to the rest of the people in your life. I'm checking the comments on my phone, hence me looking down, but I'm still with you here. I'm happy you guys are here because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Elena. I've been through the wreckage of a toxic relationship myself. I do know what it's like to feel like you're dragging behind everybody else, wondering if you're going to ever catch up and get back on your feet. And now I actually coach men to heal, rebuild, and actually thrive after abusive relationships. And so tonight I want to talk to you about falling behind, what it's going to look like in life, why it actually happens, and 3 key shifts that you can use to take some massive leaps forward. So if you are feeling ready in your lives, amazing, wonderful. We've got some yeses, we've got some readies, we've got all the things happening in the chat. So I want to share a client story that I think paints the perfect picture. I was working with a guy, let's call him Joe. And every single time that we connected, Joe told me the same story over and over and over. He said, Elena, I've wasted so much time. I'm 37 years old and I thought I'd be further ahead by now. And he looked at others in his life and judged himself by doing the comparison game, right? They're moving forward, they're getting promotions, they're getting fit, they're trying new things, they're dating again, and I am still here, wasting time. And as a result, Joe drank most nights in his garage by himself. He smoked weed that left him unable to focus, and basically slept most of the day while his kids were at school instead of getting tasks done. And underneath it all, he felt like life was slipping away minute by minute. So here's the part that actually struck me. So Joe loved ATVing, and he had a broken ATV sitting in the garage where he was sitting drinking every night. And some days he would look at me And he said, I'm thinking about grabbing tools to fix it. But then he said he would always stop himself with the same thought, what's the point, right? And so nothing actually changed. He never did. Instead, he kept procrastinating and scrolling on his phone, zoning out and getting drunk and getting high. So let me challenge you guys to think about Joe's situation for a second, because there's a lot that we can get out of this. Why wasn't he moving forward? What's the real problem with living like this? Take a second to think about that. What happens to a man's confidence, to his health, to his relationships if this pattern is continuing? Right? And if Joe kept doing the same things for the next 5 years, right? Where do you see him ending up? I'm assuming not good places, but I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? What is the problem here? Tony's saying lack of motivation. Yeah, definitely. Brandon says he wasn't dealing with his pains, he was running from it. These are great answers. All valid, all completely valid. So here's the thing. Joe's not stupid and he's not lazy and he wasn't broken and he's not doomed for life. He was just stuck in a cycle that made him believe he was falling behind. And once we actually started to work together and we made a few simple shifts, everything began to change. So he was actually getting up with his kids instead of staying in bed and sleeping in. And he was actually noticing that his sleeping patterns were overall improving. He was crushing all the big tasks in his day, like paying bills and balancing the bank accounts. He actually started cutting back his drinking during the week, and he stopped smoking weed completely. He was working out, and he was noticing that he had less physical pain in his body, which I was fairly impressed with. And he actually did fix the ATV with his kids, which was like a massive win because he's been looking at that for months. So Joe went from numbing out in his garage every night, thinking endlessly, to feeling proud of himself again, being more present with his kids, having more energy in his day, and reaching his health and fitness goals, and actually feeling excited about what was next. How many of you want that shift too? How many of you want things like returning to the hobbies that brought you joy? How many of you guys want improvements to your physical health? Or restful sleep instead of lying awake overthinking? Or even finding a healthy relationship where you can get the love and the respect that you deserve? Yeah. Adrian is putting that down, absolutely. He's signing up for that. That's fantastic. Rob's like, give me that. Tony's over here too saying, yes, please, right? These are things that we want. And that's fantastic to hear because we're about to jump in to those 3 shifts right now. You're going to want to hear this part because this is where the gold nuggets that Joe actually got that got him out of his cycle. So let's jump in, not wasting time. The 3 simple shifts. Number 1, we're going to stop comparing timelines. If you continue to keep comparing to everybody else in your life, you're going to continue to be looking around at everybody else. You're going to feel like you're falling behind. You're going to convince yourself that you're not actually good enough. But once you can actually understand that timelines are not to be compared, that is when you stop worrying about where you are in comparison to others, right? Where he is at, or how far ahead she is. You free yourself from that race. You actually start measuring your progress by how consistent you are, not by how fast somebody else moves. And that builds steady momentum. So that's number one. Number two is to track your progress. If you're not tracking what you're actually doing, you're missing all of the wins that you're actually having. And that makes you feel like nothing's changing because you're not tracking it. You can't see it. And even when it is changing, the belief that you're not actually changing alone can make you quit, right? So it's important to track your progress. Because you will actually start paying attention to your small wins. You're going to actually see your little successes. You can look back and prove to yourself that you're moving forward, right? Noticing you're sleeping better, check. Drinking less, check. Showing up more. Those wins stack and they rebuild your confidence. How are we doing? Are we ready for the last shift? Like, are you resonating with these two so far? Because they're pretty simple, but they are powerful, right? All right, number three, get accountability. Big one. If you're left to your own devices, it's going to be way too easy to slip back into old patterns. You're going to lose focus. You're going to talk yourself into giving up. I totally was there. I did that. Until I found somebody to hold me to it. Accountability will actually help you talk the talk and walk the walk. That you actually have someone in your corner, calling you forward, reminding you of your goals, and keeping you consistent. Right? Because consistency is what turns small changes into real long-lasting transformation. So who is going to be using at least one of these shifts? Type shift in the chat if you're serious about this progress and are going to put at least one of these shifts into practice to really put the foot on the gas of your own healing journey. Really important. Information is one thing, but transformation is when you put it into action. Tony is on it. He is going to be using number 2. Brandon says yes. So let me ask you again, how many of you want to actually return to the hobbies and the passions, have renewed energy and motivation, better focus and productivity at work or the gym? But you can't do those things because you feel stuck, because you feel the stress pile up. You keep letting the routine slip, and your motivation fades. Every day feels harder to get through than it should. Trying to figure this out, guys, on your own takes years. And even then, most men never actually get all the way there. You are going to have blind spots, right? Patterns and triggers that you cannot see. And it might be with the coping strategies that are subtly leaching your energy every day. It might be with the overthinking every night that you're getting stuck in. And unless those blind spots get uncovered, you're going to keep slipping back into the same cycles instead of feeling stronger with a sense of purpose, getting rest, getting consistent sleep, or even finding healthy relationships that are built on respect. So that's why I created my V2V program to be the fast forward button for men who are serious about healing after their toxic relationships. This program provides a clear path on how to heal from abuse. And if you want to start seeing improvements to your physical health, waking up with a clear mind and body full of energy, and feel excited about your day, just like Joe, who went from sleepless nights and constant stress to actually hitting the gym again, eating better, and finally feeling in control of his life, right? If that is what you're looking for help with, you need to DM me the word mentor, because this is the ultimate fast track that you can integrate years worth of knowledge, failure, trial, and error in a fraction of a second when you've been already spending so much time solving this problem on your own. So here's what's going to happen. I reach out to you. We're going to have a quick conversation, and I will talk to you about what's going to happen, get clear on where you're at, and I'm going to give you an action plan that's going to be fixing this, that is relevant to you in your life now. And it might actually be the best decision that you make to comment mentor. So if you guys got some value out of training tonight, comment value, because these shifts are important for me to know if you thought they were great. But they ultimately are going to turbo you to that finish line if you can buckle down and apply them. And if you're watching the replay, well, drop me a replay so that I know that you are here. Okay, thank you so much for joining, and we're going to see you guys in the next training. Okay, take care.